Have you ever wondered why some people seem stuck in the same patterns of failure, no matter how much life tries to teach them? It's not bad luck, it's blindness to their own behavior. Wisdom isn't measured by your IQ or the books you've read. It's revealed in how you respond to failure, how you treat others, and how open you are to change. Before you dismiss others as foolish, take a closer look, because these 6 traits might be hiding in your own blind spots. I've spent years observing people, how they behave, how they speak, how they react when things don't go their way. And one truth has become crystal clear. Intelligence isn't just about what you know. It's about how you live, how you treat others, and how humbly you learn from your mistakes. But here's the real insight. There are 6 clear, unmistakable signs that reveal when someone is, let's say, lacking in wisdom. Now, this isn't about mocking anyone. Far from it. Spotting these traits isn't an exercise in judgment, it's a mirror, a tool for reflection and growth. It's also a way to help those who may not even realize they're stuck in cycles of self-sabotage. So, join me in exploring these 6 signs, not just to spot foolishness in others, but to weed it out from our own lives. Sign 1. A closed mind. A closed mind is like a fortress fortified by fear, pride, and resistance to change. It's built brick by brick with stubbornness, rejecting new ideas at every turn. People with closed minds live in rigid boxes, where anything unfamiliar feels like a threat. Ironically, their loud confidence often masks deep insecurity, because true confidence comes from knowing how little we actually know. I once worked with a man named Mark, a department manager who clung to old systems even as his team fell behind. A younger employee suggested modern project management software to boost efficiency, but Mark brushed it off, saying, "We've done it this way for 10 years. While other teams advanced, Mark stagnated. Rather than adapting, he blamed everyone but himself. A closed mind doesn't just hinder personal growth, it stunts the growth of entire teams. The Stoics remind us, wisdom is not about knowing everything, but about being open to learning. Break down your mental walls. Say, "I was wrong." That's when real wisdom begins to take root. Sign 2. Constant blaming. Blame is a favorite weapon of the foolish. When something goes wrong, they point fingers at everything and every except themselves. But behind every excuse is fear. Fear of failure, fear of growth, fear of responsibility. The problem? That fear becomes a prison. Lisa, an event organizer I once knew, was a master at this. When her conference flopped due to low turnout, she immediately blamed the marketing team. But the truth came out. Lisa had delayed sending the necessary materials, making effective promotion impossible. Still, she refused to take accountability. The result? She lost the trust of her colleagues and eventually her position. The Stoics teach that owning your mistakes is the foundation of personal power. Responsibility may be heavy, but it leads to transformation. So next time you feel the urge to blame, pause. Ask, what part of this do I own? Because blaming doesn't change your life. Responsibility does. Sign 3. Arrogance over humility. You've seen them, the people who always have to prove they're the smartest in the room. But arrogance is not strength. It's a smokescreen for insecurity. And it's a wall that blocks every chance to learn and grow. Michael, a corporate manager, exemplified this. In every meeting, he interrupted others, dismissed ideas, and monopolized conversations. When a major project failed, he blamed his team's inability to understand his brilliance. In truth, it was his arrogance that tanked the project. Humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It means being willing to learn, collaborate, and admit when you're wrong. The Stoics remind us that wisdom lives in the quiet mind, one that listens more than it speaks. Ask yourself, am I speaking to be heard or to learn? Because only one leads to growth. Sign 4. Lack of empathy. A lack of empathy is perhaps the most isolating sign of foolishness. Without the ability to step into another's shoes, people become emotionally blind. They hurt others without realizing it and live in shallow relationships, devoid of true connection. I'll never forget Paul, a coworker who openly criticized a colleague named Susan for missing a deadline. What he didn't know or didn't care to ask was that Susan's child was gravely ill. Paul's public shaming of her left the team shaken. A year later, Paul faced a family crisis of his own, and for the first time, he understood the pain he had caused. Empathy is not a weakness. It's the foundation of humanity. The Stoics teach us that wisdom doesn't grow in isolation. It thrives through connection. When you listen without judgment, you truly seek to understand. You not only lift others, you lift yourself. Sign 5. Fear of change. Change is uncomfortable but necessary. Those who fear it cling to old habits long past their expiration date. They resist the new like a child afraid of the dark, while the world moves on without them. Michael, an older man I once knew, refused to leave the neighborhood he'd lived in his entire life. His children urged him to move for better opportunities and support. He resisted, saying, "I know everyone here." But eventually, the neighborhood changed anyway. Old friends left. Familiar places shut down. Michael finally moved and discovered more happiness than he ever expected. The Stoics embrace change as a law of life. Don't fear it, flow with it. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? Change is the bridge between who you are and who you could become. Sign 6. Talking more than listening. Ever met someone who hijacks every conversation, insists they're always right, and never pauses to hear others? That's not confidence, it's foolishness. Talking too much and listening too little is a clear mark of someone who values their own voice over others' wisdom. John, a father I once knew, would dominate every family dinner. His children tried to share their experiences, but he constantly cut them off to tell his own stories. His wife offered suggestions to improve finances, rejected them without thought. Over time, his family felt unheard, unseen, and emotionally distant. Listening is not passive, it's an act of respect. A wise person listens to understand, not just to respond. The Stoics believed silence reveals more than speech ever could. Next time someone speaks, stop, be present. You might learn something that changes everything. So, we've walked through the 6 signs of a stupid person, but here's the truth. We've all been there. We've all made these mistakes. Arrogance, blame, fear. At some point, they've shown up in all of us. But the difference between the foolish and the wise recognize the pattern and change. Stoic philosophy doesn't expect perfection. It calls for progress. It invites us to reflect, adapt, and evolve. So don't beat yourself up if you've seen yourself in one of these signs. That's not failure, that's awareness. And awareness is where growth begins. Keep walking the path. Keep learning. And if this resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe. Because the world needs more wise men and fewer blind ones. Thank you for watching. Stay grounded. Stay open. Stay stoic.